Hey, David here coming to you live for yet another podcast tonight on this platform where we are live to talk about things that really matter in achieving 24 plenty this year. Settle down, come on in, and get ready for another episode, episode 7 of the Winning in Life podcast, as I discuss budgeting and financial planning today on our journey to 24 plenty. I'm excited this year because a lot of people are going to prosper before this year is over. When we talk about 20 plenty, we're talking about 20 plenty in every area of your life. And one of those areas is your finances, especially your finances. And so I am determined and I am committed to sharing with anybody who is willing to get to the top with me practical tools and practical insight on things that matter in terms of getting to the very top in life. And I make no apologies for that because I know that there's a remnant out there who are willing to hear this information, this knowledge. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all you're getting, get understanding. Therefore, this is for those that are willing to get wisdom, not just talk about the blessing of the Lord, but those that would like to see the blessing of the Lord in the land of the living and not just barely talk about it. So I'm excited. I set it down, share the link, let somebody know David is live right now so that we can do this together. And I'm good to go. If you are, wherever you're joining me from, I'm ready to go. So let's see if we can do this together. Praise God. I hope you're here. You guys are ready. Grace Church Global Family, welcome. And anybody else joining us from around the world, wherever you are. And let's see if I can get my glasses on tonight. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to go into it right now. I'm going to dig in. I don't usually just sit and wait for people to gather up. I'm just going to go for it because these broadcasts, they stay on our Facebook, our website, and our YouTube channels permanently. So if you want, you can go back there and glean and listen to it and play it over and over again until you get understanding. As a matter of fact, it is worth going back to these broadcasts and playing them over and over again because of the nature that they are. So tonight, as we journey into the path, if you like, of 24 plenty, we have declared 2024 the year of plenty, and we believe that there is no blessing on laziness. And so what we have made a decision to do, and I personally am committed to this, is to bring understanding, is to give the tools that are required in order to succeed in life, in order to get ahead, not only in your finances, but in your career, in your business, if you're running a business, being a business coach myself, being a life coach, and a lot of other hats that I wear. I want to bring whatever expertise and knowledge that I have had the grace to gather by God's grace over the years to you, free of charge on this podcast. Now, if you attend one of my seminars, you probably have to pay to get it. But thank God, I have the rare privilege and the humble privilege of sharing this with you on here free of charge. That does not mean that the information that I bring to you is not valuable because a lot of people don't value things that they haven't paid for. But I urge you to take it to heart and value it and take it as a gift from me to you as I do this, not because it is cheap, just because I'm giving it for free. So God bless you. I thought I just mentioned that so that you can understand the value, even though it is a free session that I offer you on this podcast. Now, what are we talking about today? Today, we're talking about budgeting. We're talking about financial planning. And now, when we talk about financial planning, planning in itself involves focusing the future, but looking at the present and also looking at the future. And in this case, we're talking about the present situation of your finances and the future situation of your finances. Now, when we talk about budgeting, on the other hand, it is pretty much the same thing. A budget is a spending plan, basically, that accounts for an estimated or for the estimated current and future income and expenditure for a specific period of time. So it is a plan that accounts for both the income and the expenses or the expenditure over a period of time, a specified period of time. It could be a month, it could be a whole year, whichever period you're looking at. And that is what a budget basically is. It is an account for your incomings and outgoings, both the current and the estimated ones in the future over a period of time. Now, what I would like to mention right from the word go is that instead of being fearful of the future, you can plan for it. Instead of being worried and scared of the future, you can get ready for it. Now, you might be thinking, David, are you saying I need to predict the future? I can tell you right now that we human beings cannot pretty much predict anything unless you receive a word of prophecy from above. You can't really predict anything. And so I'm not talking about predicting the future. I am talking about imagining the future. In other words, you can imagine the future you want to have. And a budget or a financial plan goes a long way to help you along these lines, imagining the future that you would like to see ahead of you. Now, I am not sure if I've actually shared this today, but I will go ahead and do that. And so what we're talking about today is literally, when we talk about financial planning, we're talking about your ability to imagine the future. We're talking about your ability to take stock of where you are right now. And then when you take stock of where you are, then you factor in what life will be about this time next month, about this time next year, about this time, whatever that is, because that is what it is. It is about factoring the future. And then when you do that, you then have to look at what's going to happen at that time in terms of my finances and what I'm doing right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into different types of budgeting that are out there. We're also going to look at different the way you can budget personally. There are different budgets. Some of you are running businesses. Some of you are literally just not running business. You're working. You can also learn from this episode, budgeting. So the budgeting I'm going to focus on today is not so much for a business or for somebody running a business as it is for somebody who is running their own personal life. So tonight, I will be focusing on personal budgeting, even though on another day, maybe for those of you that are running a business, I will be more than happy to look at budgeting for your business or your organization. But for tonight, or for the purposes of tonight, I am just looking at personal budgeting. Now, in looking at different types of budgeting, there's capital budgeting, historical budgeting, you have zero-based budgeting, different types of budgeting. But I just want to focus on two today because I've made a decision to make these podcasts really short, half an hour and no more. Anything less than that, I'm happy with it. And so very quickly, I will not be able to exhaust everything on these podcasts, but I will give you the right direction for you to go if you're really serious about getting to the top. So number one, there is something called historical budgeting. This is where you budget from a previous budget. So maybe you've already done budgeting before. You've got a budget from last year, and this is 2024, and you want to carry on. So the items on your budget, you already have them. You already have the categories, and all you have to do is replace them with current figures. Based on what is going on, the inflation has happened and all these things, and so you just adjust the figures a little bit. Now, it has its advantages. It also has its disadvantages. So historical budgeting has disadvantages such as it's less innovative, for instance, because you're just doing the same thing you were doing last year, and it's less. It leaves less room for evaluation, for instance, or creativity. It feels safe, which is an advantage. It is cost effective because you're not looking for a new budget. It is also saves you time. That's another advantage. Another advantage is that it is proven. So it's got both cons and pros, and it's up to you which one you decide to go for. Now, in most cases, I personally prefer the second type of budgeting, which is the zero-based budgeting. However, nothing stops you from using both of them at the same time. So you can do the zero-based budgeting. At the same time, you can do the historical budgeting. That way, you take themes from things that are proven, you've already done every year or year in, year out. Then you can add some new things to it and be more creative and have a chance to evaluate. Now, if you've never done a budget before, you don't have the luxury of doing a historical budget because you've never done one. So you're going to have to go straight to the zero-based budget, which is where you just start from scratch and write down your incomings, outgoings. And before we are done today, I'm going to give some examples of how you can do that. Okay, now, some disadvantages of a zero-based budget. It's time consuming because obviously you have to start from scratch. And you have there's a chance of procrastination because I'll get it done tomorrow. And some of you have been thinking about writing a budget for a long time. You still haven't done it. So there's that chance of procrastination. Whereas a historical one is already there. You just tweak figures and you get going. But the fact that there is a chance for procrastination should not stop you from still going forward, because there are a lot of advantages to a zero-based budget. For instance, you have a chance to reprioritize, which I'm gonna talk about before we leave zero-based budgeting. You have a chance to reprioritize because you're writing this budget from scratch, afresh. It gives you a chance to be innovative. It gives you a chance to be more flexible. It gives you a chance to even discover solutions to some of the challenges in the budget. But most importantly, it gives you a chance to reprioritize. So what do you mean by that, David? When you write a budget, when you're writing a budget, you have to put things in the budget, items on the budget. Now, a historical budget would already have those items on there, whereas a zero-based budget doesn't have any items on there. So this gives you a fresh outlook on your own life. So before you start writing down anything, you're going to have to ask yourself, are the things going in my budget all relevant? Are the things that I spend money on all relevant? Are they in line with my goals and vision where I'm going? This is my year of 24 plenty. Am I going to achieve my goal if I carry on spending on A, B, C, D? So with the zero-based budget, you get a fresh look on what is important to you and what really you should be spending on. That is one of the greatest advantages of the zero-based budget that you don't get with the historical one, because things are set in stone. It's not very flexible. But as this one, you can ask yourself, first and foremost, in fact, I'd like to remind you, because I've already done this before, of the Eisenhower matrix, which I call the priority matrix. Let's see if we can get it up on your screen so you can have a look at that. So before you can get started with your zero-based budget, you want to have a look at this quadrant, this priority matrix that I have shared before. And all it is it's a matrix that has got 4 boxes. And in these boxes, you have 4 different categories. It helps you understand and plan your life better. It is a useful tool for goal setting, but it is also a powerful tool for prioritizing the items that will actually make it on your budget. Not everything that comes to mind that you need to spend on should be on your budget. And so using this quadrant or this matrix, which I live by every day, every week, every month, and now every day, you can determine what items will actually make it onto your budget or into your budget. So when you write the 4 boxes, at the top of box number 1, in the left top corner, you write down agent. At the top of I'm just spelling it out, even though you can see it on my screen because it's a podcast. Somebody might be listening to this while they're driving or while they're doing something else, and they might not be watching the video. And so we'll spell it out so they can be able to follow along as well. In the second box, which is the top right, you write down not urgent. And then on the left side of box 1, you write down important. Okay. On the left side of box 3, you write down not important. And on box number 4, you're not writing anything at all. Now, in the first box, you must understand that these are things that are both important and urgent. So in box number 1, you've got things that are both important and urgent. And then in box number 2, you've got things that are not urgent, but they are still important. So you're factoring this matrix in because you're about to write your budget for 2024. You can write it monthly, you can write a whole year if you want, but you can have a monthly budget to live by, which equates to the whole year. At the end of the year, you can add them up, all the 12 months. And in the left one, you have things that are not important, but they are urgent. So they are urgent, but not important. And in the last one, you've got things that are neither urgent nor important. Okay, so you are preparing, so you're putting all the things that you spend money on in the quadrant. When you throw them in there, it gives you a great opportunity. Now remember, with the matrix, we said that the things that are in the box number 1, you do. These are things you have to do straight away. Get this done. Okay, the things that are in box number 2, I'm doing a quick recap. That's why I'm just cruising through this one. It is just a tool to help us to start to get to the budgeting part and the financial planning for our lives 2024. Now, in number 2, box number 2, you want to have things that are not urgent, but they're still important. They still gotta be done. So these, you pick up your diary, your calendar, and you schedule them. Or you schedule them, depending on which part of the world you come from. So these are for scheduling. These you don't do straight away, you schedule or you schedule. Number 3, in the box below on the left, you delegate, because these things are urgent. They've got to be done, but they're not so important to you directly. Things like other people's drama, you can delegate because it is urgent to them, but not directly urgent to you. And because you want to be there and help, you can delegate. Okay, and the last quadrant, which is number 4, these are things that are not urgent and they are not important. What you want to do with this is, I've put delete in there, but not necessarily delete. Sometimes you can completely delete, completely block, but sometimes you can put aside for a while, maybe take a break from it. So things like some TV shows and things like some WhatsApp groups. Okay, so you either leave completely and delete them, or put them on ice or archive them for a while. So they fall in that category. Now, this is very relevant when it comes to goal setting, when you're writing down your goals and setting your goals for the week, for the month, and for the year. Very important metrics that I live by. Even every day, I use it. Now, for the purposes of the budget today, you are literally putting this in place because you want to discover what you want to put in your zero-based budget. Okay, what is important, because it gives you a chance to reprioritize what things really matter to you financially this year. What things do you definitely have to have in your budget? That is why we are doing this metrics, or I'm reminding you of this metrics, because you must know what things you definitely must have in your budget. Now, let's see if we can move this along to the next part. Now, the next part you must understand is your budget will have some variances. Okay, that means that you must allow for a variance analysis. You must allow for a variance analysis in your budget. What do I mean by that? Every time you plan for something, there is a good chance that you might end up overspending. Okay, so a variance, basically a variance analysis is the difference between the amount that you budgeted for against the amount, the actual amount that actually you end up spending. And so at the end of the month or at the end of the year, depending on how long your actual budget is for, you will discover that you've spent more than you planned for. That's the variance on the negative side. Or you might discover you spent less and you've made more than you thought you could make, and you spent less than you could. That's a positive variance. So both of them you must account for, and you must be aware of when you do your budget. And obviously you must understand how to mitigate for the negative variance, and you must understand how to mitigate for the positive variance. What will you do if you fall short? Is there something, a buffer on the side that can come in? Or if you have more, do you have plans for that money to be plowed in, to be remultiplied or reinvested, or in some other way that is wiser than just picking up and going spending because you found yourself with a little bit more money? And so be aware that a variance analysis will either be negative or it will be positive, but it will be there, and you must be aware of it, because life is not a straight line. And things change, and inflation happens, and the economy happens, and there are losses in business, and there are profits, and sometimes you might be pleasantly surprised that your sales are bigger, or your income goes bigger than you originally thought. And so you must be aware of the variance analysis. Let's see if we can give an example of the budget template, or what you need to have in your budget in order for you to go ahead and do this. Now, I'm going to put up on your screen a template. Let's see if we can have this up on your screen. If we can have a budget planner just as a template. This is blank. You can do whatever you want with it. It is a blank template, and literally all it has are categories. So it shows you income on the top left. You can adopt this if you want. You can use the same template I'm showing you. You can use a different template. There are different templates out there. I'm just here to work with anybody willing to get to the top. I'm talking to the millionaire in the making. I'm talking to the financially independent person in the making. I'm talking to somebody who is prepared to do what it takes this year to get to the top, and not just talk about it or pray about it or wait for a prophecy. No, no, no. I'm talking to somebody ready to really do this. And so on this template, you can see that you have an income category, and then you have the food category. You can put groceries there if you want, on the right. And then underneath there, I've put essentials or essential bills. And then on the right, I've put other expenses or expenses. Then below, there are three categories, as you can see. And one of them has got debt, the other one is savings, and the other one is just the totals of everything that you are dealing with or that you are doing. So if you look at this, it's just a template. This is an example of how you can put together a budget or your own personal budget. Now, you can use this template even for your business. If you're running a business, if you're running a church, if you're running a charity, you can still use it. But for the purposes of today, we are doing a personal budgeting planner. Now, I'm going to give you an example of one that I've already filled in. The same template I put there. Now, this is one that I've already filled in. So the one I've filled in shows you the examples of the kind of things you can put in those categories. So in the first category, under income, you can have things like your starting balance. If you have any money at all, if you have zero, put zero. If you have if you are overdrawn, put minus 200. Whatever it is that you're overdrawn by, you put that in there. And number two, now, for those of you that have multiple streams of income, like moi, which you need to aim for, by the way, make sure you have multiple streams of income, passive income, etc. We'll deal with all this as we go in the year. So you put there income number one. If that's your salary, you put it there. If that's all you have, you just put income there, and that's all. Okay, income number two, income number three, however many incomes you have, you put them in that category. On the right side, groceries or food, you want to put down. Okay, so you want to put down groceries, snacks and candy. And the thing is, a lot of people don't budget for these things, but you buy them all the time. Your kids are like, oh, I want just Smarties. Oh, I want McDonald's. You don't budget for them, but you still spend on them. This is why at the end of the year, you're confused. You're like, the devil took my money, but you don't know where the money went because you didn't have a budget and you didn't know where your money actually went. And so you want to write down, including the candy and the snacks. Put it in there. Delivery and takeout. You order Nando's, you order pizza, and you didn't budget for it, and so you're just wondering how come my money is lower, but you don't know where it's gone. But if you have it down, you know that it's accounted for. Restaurants, for those of you that eat out, that can fall in that category. Essential bills. Under essential bills, you want to make sure you have covered your rent or mortgage if you own your property. Make sure you have covered electricity in there. Make sure you've got water and sewage. Make sure you've got gas. Make sure you've got the internet if you use the internet, your telephone or your communication, transportation. Your car would go under that category in terms of expenses. I'm sure you got insurance, you got road tax, you got servicing that falls in the transport. If you don't have a car, whatever you spend on your public transport. Okay, healthcare, very important. And no matter how much money you make, if your health is not good, you won't be able to enjoy it. I've just put item number 9 so that you can add whatever it is that pertains to you that falls under essential bills. I was tempted to put education under essential bills because I believe education is priceless. You gotta get understanding if you want to get in life, get ahead in life. Even though I've moved into expenses because it is optional, you don't necessarily have to get an education, even though I believe it is absolutely critical. So on the right side, you've got things like household items and household repairs, clothes, cosmetics, fun. Make sure you have a fun account. Travel, vacation, take a break. Giving, and for those of you that are Christians, because we have this an open podcast to a lot of people, I won't be saying putting things like tithing and giving are essentials that you have to do without even questioning it. But because this is a general platform that we are speaking to everybody, I've put it under expenses. Okay, subscriptions. These are things like Netflix or whatever it is you subscribe to, Apple storage, etc. They go under this category. They're extra expenses. They're not essential. You can live without them, but they're extra expenses. Now, how you decide what ends up in these boxes, remember, it is all about the metrics. Take them all into the metrics, figure out which ones really, really need to go into essentials and which ones are just a want and not a need. That will help you. So for those of you that have missed the two of them side by side, there's a blank one on the left. If you want, you can take a screenshot and replicate it, use it for yourself, and then make sure that you personalize it to yourself. The one on the right has got some examples already filled in. I'm hoping that this is making sense and that it is helping somebody out there. We are nearly done for tonight. I only have a few more minutes because I want to share just one more aspect of budgeting, and then we will pack for tonight. Like I said, it is impossible for me to exhaust everything, literally impossible. And so I won't be trying to exhaust everything. So let's see if we can. I hope you're still awake out there. Everybody's still awake. Everybody's still with me. Okay, let's do one more part of this, which is what I am calling a 50-30-20 budgeting plan. I did not invent this. It's out there. It is a proven budgeting plan, but I thought somebody might be interested in it. So you're watching us right now and saying, you know what, I like this template, but so how do I determine how much goes where? I'll give you an example of a proven template and known as the 50-30-20 budgeting plan. And hopefully it will help you decide how much of your money should go to which category. Now, it doesn't have to be rigid to the 50-30-20 plan, but it is a guideline that gets you started, that gets you on the right track to your wealthy place. So let's see if we can put that on the screen for you, okay? So here is the 50-30-20 plan that you can glean lessons from and see if you can personalize it to yourself. So whatever you get paid, understand that this is a good way for you to budget and to plan your finances and split your money. Okay, so 50% of your money should go to what we call needs. You remember those essentials in the budget. That's 50% of that. And the savings take up 20% of that money or any money that you make. And then the other 30% goes to the wants. Remember those things that were in other expenses. Those are the things that you just want, but you don't necessarily need. Again, how do you determine what falls in that category? Use the metrics, okay? Now, the metrics is not the only way to do it. You can use other prioritizing tools, but make sure whatever you do, you use a tool to prioritize. Otherwise, you'll just be spending money anyhow. You don't even know where the money is going. A lot of people that are broke don't know where they spend their money or where their money went, even though they made money. Because to prosper, it is not so much how much you make, but how much you can keep, retain, and multiply. That is what determines whether you're going to increase in life or not. That is what's going to determine whether 24 plenty will be true to you or not. And so what falls under the category of needs? So things like rent, mortgage, utility bills, healthcare, transportation, groceries, and food. Those are needs. Okay, savings. You have an emergency fund, which I keep preaching about. Make sure you have an emergency fund, regardless of which country you live in. Put some money aside for a rainy day. Everybody gets a rainy day at one point or the other in their lives. A retirement fund. Make sure you have some money put aside. A pension scheme or whatever. Some kind of insurance that makes sure you're covered when you can no longer work. Okay. Make sure you have some investments. Okay. Multiple streams of income. Passive income. We will teach all this in the year as we go. Make sure you have some savings. Don't put all your money in a current account, for instance, because especially most current accounts, about 90% of current accounts in the UK don't give you any interest whatsoever. Just keep money there for maintaining your lifestyle, paying bills, but make sure you find the wisdom to look at the alternatives that are out there and invest your money or put your money where it can get to work and it can grow. Okay, and those of you that are in the UK, it's the same thing, same concept. Wherever you are in the world, make sure you find places you can put your money in the ground where it will grow and not just sit there. And number 3, the wants, okay? The wants, they take up the 30%. So travel, fun account, going to the movies and going bowling and buying the nice shoe and the nice handbag. And I put education there, even though I was tempted to put it in the needs, as I mentioned earlier. subscriptions. There's an extra S there. Just ignore it. It's a typo. And obviously, I put charitable giving there, even though I believe it is an essential, especially if you belong to a faith group. However, I put it in there because we are speaking to everybody out there. And so this is what I intended to share with you today. There is a lot that I can share about planning for your future and for your finances. We can talk about pensions. We can talk about how to actually do investments. And we would talk about all these categories in more detail in their own separate podcasts. But for the purposes of budgeting and financial planning today, I just wanted to give you this, give you a template, give you a start so you can get going. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. I don't take it for granted that you took time out to join me on this podcast. I look forward to seeing you at our next podcast for another exciting segment of 24 Plenty Winning in Life as we get ready to prosper this year and to increase. We won't just talk about prosperity. We won't just talk about increase. We won't just talk about plenty. We are going to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I am determined to do this. I am determined to carry whoever is willing and ready to come with me. We're going to go together. Thank you so much, Melon, my scribe. And now I've got two scribes and Lady Well, but it's good to have you on the line. And thank you for summarizing all those points. They're up on your screen, guys. Look at those points on the screen and make a note if you can. This podcast will stay here. It's only half an hour long. You have no excuse. Come back to it. Listen to it. Go to our YouTube channel. Come to our Facebook channel, Instagram, on our website. Listen to it over and over again. It will change your life. It will make an impact in your life. And you can use it to teach your cousins, teach your friends, teach your family, teach your kids how to budget. I wish somebody taught me these things way earlier than the time that I discovered them in my life. I will be so far ahead. And you can do that for your family and your friends. Send them the link. It saves you explaining to them, and they can get to hear it for themselves. They can watch it or they can listen to the audio. It doesn't matter. It will have the same impact. I'll see you guys next time on episode 8 of the Winning in Life podcast. Love you guys. Appreciate you. And I'm going to sign out now. And love you. And stay blessed. Keep the faith. Keep the joy. Ciao for now. Ciao, ciao.